Fairy legends uphold that the Grail-Graal was a magic cauldron, not a cup or chalice, as opposed to the Greal, the alternative bloodline of the dragon. The Grail is recorded in fairy mythos as the Cauldron of Annwyn, the cauldron of serpents and dragons, just as the Dragon Sarmatians believed. Annwyn OtherWorld. In poems, Arthur is told to sail to Annwyn to steal the Cauldron-Grail from the fortress of the fairies. This was the Grail that cured the sick, healed the wounded, and fed the people. In Grail lore, the cauldron brought fertility and abundance to the land, and it was Arthur's esoteric responsibilities to ensure prosperity as the Fisher King. The Cauldron of Annwyn was the undisclosed arcane grail that Arthur's knights frantically rummaged after to return to Camelot so the land would once more produce with abundance, not the Grail chalice containing the crucified blood of Jesus, but the Grail cauldron of the fairies, once again connecting fairy lore with Grail mythos. The Holy Grail and fairy lore are related. Druidic Adept, Merlin, was a fairy enchanter, while Morgan le Fey, one of the ladies of the lake, was of fairy descent. Merlin was a wizard in the spirit of the Atlanteans, a white-haired, long-bearded, wise astrologer and enchanter. Merlin fell in love with Nimue, known also as Ninianne and Vivianne, who, in turn, was the famous Lady of the Lake, a fairy woman, and a direct descendant of Mary Magdalene of the Acqs family. Merlin slept with the fairy woman Vivianne in a cave. All Grail and Arthurian literature, according to Joseph, has been encoded with an unexplained portion of memories and information recanting the Atlantean epoch and the deluge, including Merlin's roots dating back beyond the Druids to the mysticism of Atlantis. The name we know as Merlin was not his real name, for Merlin is a title. Merlins were the great seers of the Gaelic realms for the royal courts and high kings. They were a class of druid priests akin to the classical Greek philosophers and Chaldean magi who were derived from an ancient, priestly tribe remembered as the Wise Ones. Gnomes and Goblins. In Latin, Merlins and Wise Ones were identified as the nobles, meaning to know, as in gnosis, hence, noble, just as fair Celts were the noble race of the elven bloodline. Noble elven fairies were known as gnomes and goblins, ones who guarded the antediluvian secrets, knowledge, and genealogies. In this spirit, Merlin and numerous other mystical antediluvians have been allegorized and enshrined as ascended ancients, possessing breathtaking technology and knowledge. Merlin was affirmed to have been born from a spirit or demon, otherwise known as one of the classes of fairies. Druids, Egyptian priests, magi, and Greek oracles all labored unaccountably with the aid of demons, who were regarded as invisible beings, intermediaries between gods and men, avatars and spirit guides. The demons included the shades of Hades. Morgan le Fey's name oozes with fairy legomenism, just as La Fey is French for fairy. The ladies of the lake were part of the fair-haired water fairies. Fairy women were always believed to have access to the otherworld through lakes, coves, and of course, sidders, known also as fairy mounds and as knolls in Scotland. The gods and goddesses of the otherworld were known in Irish, Welsh, and Grail mythology as the fairy people. Mermaid? In the British Isles, mermaids are known variantly by many appellations, including Mary Morgan. When rescued, mermaids provided knowledge of medicines, opulent gifts, and warnings of storms. Mermaids were indelibly encrypted into Gnostic allegories, secreting Rex Deus heritage. Mary Jacob, Jesus' alleged sister, for example, was celebrated in secret Gnostic society as an Essene priestess, and as Mary the Gypsy. Both Mary Jacob and Mary Magdalene are portrayed as mermaids in the Church of Sainte Marie in Paris. Mary is related to water, as in the French mer and Latin mare, while Mary Jacob was often depicted with a fishtail, as a mermaid, thus deriving from Merry Maid, from which Maid Marian of Robin Hood derives metaphorically. Mermaids in ancient epochs were also always associated with the moon goddess Isis, Ishtar, and so on. All this water allegory came together with the Delect's dynasty begun by Mary, which descended down to Vivianne and Morgan le Fey, both who were allegorized as ladies of the lake. According to Gardner, Mary the Gypsy, Mary Jacob, was the short version for Mary the Egyptian. The original form of Mary was Miriam, the sister to Moses, known in one of its variant forms as Mary Amon. Mary the Gypsy's name became famous in variants such as Mary, Mary, and Merry, as in the Merry Men of Robin Hood, where her memory is preserved as the Maid Marian, and the Merry Men of Sherwood. Additionally, Mary Jacob has been preserved in the May Queen rituals associated with Robin Hood allegories. The May festivals are in legend the festivals of Mary the Gypsy. Morgan le Fey was an Anglo-Norman title, according to Fleming, once again linking in Norse Rex Deus to Grail and Welsh bloodlines. Morgan le Fey, then, not coincidentally, was both a half-sister to Arthur and the aunt to Rex Deus, Gawain, of Norway. Morgan was the mother to Lancelot in other versions. Gawain was the original champion of the Round Table before Lancelot. Gawain's father was King Lot of Norway, the king that helped Arthur defeat the Romans and who was also regarded in Grail legend as holding equal partnership to Arthur's kingship and kingdom. Lot is the base for Lancelot's name and also refers to Lothland in Norway, home of merciless Vikings that Gawain's father reigned over. These Arthurian Normans were in the same bloodlines as the St. Clairs, Bruces, Royos, Cuts, and William the Conqueror.